Ho, 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 peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello.
We are the Fright Club NI, and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. Danny, it's our Christmas special.
It's our festive
It's our
Fright
festive
Club
special.
special.
It is festive Fright, and we've obviously made the effort here. You're wearing the Vader. You can't see it. There you go.
Jumper on.
We have to make the effort, and I'm wearing the little Christmas hat, and we're being joined by a very special guest today. You can't see him right now, but
what? No.
Yeah,
I didn't
little
know.
Christmas Gizmo.
I didn't know.
I was keeping that surprise. I didn't tell you that I had him.
That's great.
It's class, isn't it?
I love him.
I bought him years ago, man. I think it was actually in HMV, absolutely years ago, and he was only about 10 quid. But I had to have him because Gremlins.
Yeah,
it's top 3, 4, 5 childhood movies for me. So excited to talk about it today.
One of my Christmas faves. It has to be watched every Christmas. I remember my cousins had a Gizmo teddy growing up, and I was always so jealous of it. I can't remember. I think their dad got it from somewhere when the movie originally released, and they still had it. And I always, anytime I seen it, I was like, I want that. I want that Gizmo.
I know. I'd love to get one of the full size Gremlins.
With the proper limbs and all,
yes,
posable stop motion ones.
I have looked at them, so one day I'll get one.
Sometimes you can just buy the parts. You could Frankenstein it, Maybe it's slightly cheaper to buy animatronic arm, stop motion leg, and then just.
They're not that expensive, actually. Really, they're not actually that expensive. I remember seeing them. Excuse me. I remember seeing them at one of the cons there. I think it might have been Dublin, or maybe it was in the Scotland one that was at last year. And I was like, he's coming home with me. And obviously, I decided against it. But they're not that expensive, man. So maybe in a future episode of Fright Club, you'll see a little.
I was going to say, obviously,
dirty
we're recording
gremlin.
Dirty
gremlin in the background.
I was going to say maybe filthy, or was it you filthy animals? You could maybe, obviously, we're recording this pre-Christmas, but we're releasing post-Christmas. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Santa may have brought you a wee gremlin in the in that time. Fingers crossed. Come on, big man.
Come on, Saint Nick. I've been a good boy.
Get us a gremlin.
Who knows? But COVID and stuff like that, he can't always deliver everything this year. So
that's true as well.
We'll see what happens.
He's coming down the chimneys with a mask on.
But you've broken the fourth wall there, Danny. This is going out after Christmas. What are you talking about?
I mean,
Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you've had a great
Merry Chrysler.
And I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you're with your family and loved ones.
Yeah.
I hope you were staying safe and doing everything right. It's lockdown part 3, lockdown D, or die lockdown die, as if we're going Darkman style. Lockdown D. But yeah, part 3, fucking.
We've done
Electric
2, Lockdown 2, Electric Boogaloo,
yeah.
3. No, can't think of anything.
I don't know. We'll think of something. If you've got any cool names for Lockdown 3, drop them.
Put them in the comments.
Yeah, but we'll think of something. But anyway, let's crack on and do stuff here because
Let's talk about Gremlins.
Let's talk about the greatest Christmas movie ever made.
Well,
Gremlins. No, it is, Danny. Well, it's up
there. Muppets Christmas Carol.
Okay.
I think it has to be the greatest Christmas movie ever made. But Gremlins is the greatest horror Christmas movie ever made.
For the purpose of this video, we'll say that Gremlins is the greatest.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's very unlikely that we'll be covering Muppets Christmas Carol. Unless we sort of do spin-offs.
We do an edit of Muppets Christmas Carol where we just make it dark and all. No, actually, see, to be fair, the Ghost of Christmas Future, or the Ghosts of Christmas to Come in Muppets Christmas Carol is terrifying.
The big fucking
absolutely the big arm, and then just the hollowness of the
ring wraith. You mean?
Yeah, exactly. There's no face. It's just this endless void of a face. Terrified me as a win. So I mean, Muppets Christmas Carol does have its spooky moments.
It definitely does. But as I said, for the purpose of this film, we're talking about the greatest Christmas movie ever made today. It's Gremlins.
Gremlins.
Directed by the great Joe Dante, who we're big fans of.
We love him.
I know. We have talked about Joe quite a bit on the show. Obviously, the Dee Wallace episode. That, we were able to find some really cool stuff out about Joe and how he works on set whenever we interviewed Dee Wallace back on Halloween. He Halloween
That
night.
feels like so long ago now.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It was only like 2 months ago, and if you haven't seen that episode, obviously go back and watch it.
Go back and watch it. It's
Leave
excellent.
comments, like, share, subscribe, everything, all that cool stuff. But yeah, it was a great episode. She told us a little bit about Joe and how he works on set and his personality and how much she enjoyed working with him on The Howling. And this was the job that he got because of the work that he did on The Howling, because this was produced by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
And he hired Joe to do this because he loved his work on The Howling.
Some fantastic Spielberg references in this movie.
Oh man, we'll get there. I fucking them. This is, as I said, it's like one of my top 3 favorite childhood movies. This was, for me, it was just a movie that I watched over and over again when I was a kid, and you know, it's a very special place in my heart for it.
Watching it though, because even as you're saying, it's a childhood movie. It's a childhood movie for me as well. I remember, I think it must have been on TV or something when we were younger, and my mum put it on, and it was just like, yeah, this is childhood entertainment, but it's quite dark. Like, there's some moments in it where it gets really dark. And some of the violence and stuff in it, and you're kind of like, this is maybe not for kids. Sometimes, you know.
Oh, it's definitely not just for kids. Like, it's the perfect blend of comedy horror. It's the kind of movie that I wouldn't say it invented the genre, because obviously there was comedy horror before it, but it's the perfect example. If anyone thinks of comedy horror, this is the movie.
Yeah.
That you would watch. And
it's one of those ones. Yes, it's a Christmas movie, but you can enjoy it any time of the year.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, and it does have such kind of like a cult following to it as well. Like, there are people out there who are absolutely obsessed with Mogwais and Gremlins, and yeah,
I know. And I actually seen on Twitter recently, you know, every year you get that stupid fucking argument about Die Hard being a Christmas movie or not being a Christmas movie. Who cares? Like, but somebody tweeted and it got loads and thousands of retweets, and it was saying that if Die Hard is considered a Christmas movie, then so is Gremlins. And I was like, well, yeah, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. There's no argument. There's no debate. Yeah. You know, it's set at Christmas. It's literally like at Christmas.
Opens with
the theme pops up constantly during the film. It never shies away from it being that it's a Christmas movie.
It's written by Chris Columbus.
I know.
The lover of Christmas.
Christmas Columbuses.
Yeah, Chris Columbo.
I know. So obviously Chris Columbus wrote the script. Amazing script. Very original. He wrote Goonies, and he directed Home Alone and Harry Potter and all these great movies, you know, very established. But this was one of the pieces of work that really kind of put his name on the map of being somebody who people needed to hire. He wrote the script on spec, just as an example of his work, and it got passed around, and I think Spielberg really loved the script and thought it was really original and said, this could work as a movie. Started seeing dollar signs and all that. So Spielberg and Dante were good friends, and he was like, yep, Joe, here we go. You're getting in here to make this fucking movie. It was a movie. It was only like 11 million it took to make the movie, and it made well over 200 million at the box office, and obviously has become a cult classic. Not a cult classic now, but like, I mean, it's a family favorite. It's a favorite amongst everyone. I don't know anyone that doesn't like Gremlins or enjoy it.
No, I've never met anyone who doesn't enjoy Gremlins, and if they haven't seen Gremlins, as soon as you show it to them, I think there's something so charming straight from the offset of this movie. With the whole, you know, the Chinatown knick-knack shop and stuff, it immediately draws you in with that kind of air of mystery and cuteness then as well, when you start to hear Gizmo doing his like wee sounds and his wee song and all. You know, I love that his wee tune that he does.
Man, I whistle that or hum it every couple of days. It's just something that's just ingrained in my brain.
It's either that or the Gremlins theme. You know, you're going around the house going like la 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 la.
Just amazing, just stuff that is ingrained in my brain since I was a child, and you know, that kind of stuff. It's hard to make stuff like that now because you know, there's so much of everything now. But back in the day, you know, man, that was just amazing. It was amazing, visionary, amazing storytelling, amazing conceptual ideas, and it's hard to do original stuff nowadays. But Yeah, just fantastic. And Gizmo, of course, long before Baby Yoda was even an idea in Favreau's head, there was Gizmo.
Wait, here's a hot take.
Oh.
Is Grogu just a gremlin who did not lose his Mogwai proportions? You think about it. Gremlins, when a Mogwai transitions to a gremlin, it kind of gets long, lanky legs and arms, and kind of gets hunched and a bit, yes, there's green in there, but there's also yellows and browns and stuff. But is Grogu, Baby Yoda, just a gremlin that didn't get the lanky arms and legs and the other colorations? He's still got the Mogwai proportions,
he's got all the good Gizmo stuff.
Yeah,
he just kind of
has the gremlin skin.
Potential.
Hot tech, people. Hot tech.
Yeah, that's a very hot tech now, and here we go. All the websites now will fucking take that, and
they'll jump on it. They'll be like, "Or is Yoda's species just Mogwai that didn't quite go full gremlin?"
We got this covered. I'll be putting out a headline now.
Yep.
This is similar.
We put
Gizmo
and Baby Yoda
are related
and let it roll out. Exactly. I mean, if ET can be in the Star Wars universe, why can't Mogwais be in the Star Wars universe? Exactly. I mean, Spielberg and Lucas are friends. I'm sure Favreau probably is mates with them as well.
Of course he is. Yeah, Favreau's in that little group of type of filmmakers or showrunners or producers, whatever you want to call them.
You know what I didn't realize the other day until I was watching that Christmas movies that made us on Netflix, which, by the way, if you haven't watched it, it's a fantastic series.
I haven't watched it, but I will.
Oh man, but I did not know until I watched that Favreau directed Elf.
You didn't know?
I did not know that Favreau directed Elf, and then I was watching that, and they said it, and I was like,
yeah.
What?
That was one of his first.
That was one of his.
Obviously, he did. He wrote Swingers and all back in the day, and that was kind of his first major success outside of acting. I know he acted in it as well, but he directed Elf, and around that time he started directing movies. Around that time, he did Satura and all, didn't he? And
yes, he did that after. I think his first film was just like a short one, like a boxing one. I can't remember. They talk about it in that series, but this was like his second and also first big production, which incredible. And again, the way they talk about it, you can see like how he tries to do things and how it then is reflected in the likes of Mando and stuff. But we're getting off on a tangent. Because we can talk about the directorial style of Joe Dante, who again I feel has a very much his own. He can do horror but give it charm. And he really leans into the comedy or not even necessarily just the absurdity of situations. There's like the iconic scenes in this, the bar in the cinema. What fantastic scenes.
You talk about movies that have iconic scenes. I mean, this is full of iconic scenes. You're talking, the bar, the cinema. It's just littered with iconic lines, scenes, certain segments of the movie. And maybe we're being a little bit biased because we love the movie so much, but I think just in general, it is iconic cinema. And
even the town square is an iconic town square.
Here I'm going to drop a little fact here. I bet you nobody knows this. I bet you nobody knows this, and this is the first time everyone's hearing about this. But Kingston Falls, that little town square at the start, is the same square that appears in Back to the Future. Who didn't know that? Come on.
It's an amazing fact. And I didn't know it, though, until I was just about to say it. We were watching it last night, and I goes, did you know that town square is from... And just as I was going to say, she's like, I know you're about to say fucking Back to the Future. And she's like, I did not know that fact, but as soon as you said it and I was looking at it, she's like, I could tell. And I was just like, yep, that's it. It's the Back to the Future town square.
What is it called? It's... something square. I can't remember what it's called. The clock tower, and that obviously the bit in the lawn and all.
The cinema, because the cinema they drive is the one that the car drives towards in Back to the Future.
It is, yes, of course it is.
Yep.
And it's on the Universal backlot in California, so it's been used for lots of other things as well. But iconically, it's those two movies that are connected, and it seems to be a thing that drops every Christmas. These websites all drop this information that everybody knows, or most people knows anyway, and then it's kind of like, did you know this was? It's like, yeah, like
that's the thing. Back to the Future is not. It's not a Christmas movie at all. But it always seems to be on it. The trilogy always seems to be on at Christmas time as well.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that
it's a comfort watch. Real,
it's a comfort watch. That's the perfect way to describe it. You know, comfort movies. Christmas time's the best time to watch those comfort movies. And I remember watching Back to the Future on Christmas Day when I was a child. Star Wars, you know, Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, yeah,
is my favorite favorite Star Wars movie.
I was saying it last night. I was like, we need to watch Return of the Jedi. That's like an unwritten Christmas rule.
Well,
is Return of the Jedi comes on.
No spoilers. I'm not saying anything about Return of the Jedi, but you know,
man,
that's all I'm saying.
Tears in my eyes.
I know.
Tears
we'll talk about that
eyes.
privately when we're not recording. Yeah. But yeah, that's the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. So, and it always has been for me. Jabba's palace, all that shit. I love it. But anyway, let's talk about fucking Gremlins, because that's what we're here to talk about. We've been catching on for like 25 minutes here. So, also another little fun fact that I'm sure most people already know this, but whenever this was conceived or written, when they were making the movie, it was a bit too violent for the rating system, so they had to create a new rating system for it. This was one of the movies. There was a bunch of movies around this time that helped create the PG-13 rating system that didn't exist before it, and Steven Spielberg was very important in that decision. Obviously, he's the executive producer of this film, but I think the Indiana Jones films as well, that was something where there was a lot of comedy and a bit of violence, and they were like, we need to create a new rating system that can allow these movies to be huddled into the one bubble.
Enjoyed by families, but still
enjoyed by families.
But parents can still kind of cover the kids' eyes at the right moment.
They have to have a little bit of adult themes, but they can have, the family theme as well. Because
do you remember when 12A came in over here? I can remember when 12A came in over here.
I can't really remember it, but yeah, and it's kind of the same. Was it Spider-Man?
Raimi's Spider-Man.
Right. That was one. It was the same sort of thing, wasn't it? It was kind of like, you can, if you're that age, you can if you're accompanied by an adult, you can.
If you're under 12, be
younger than that.
I think it's 9. I think 9 was sort of the cutoff they sort of recommended was, 9, between 9 and 12 could be accompanied by an adult, and then 12 is fine.
There you go. Spider-Man, Sam Raimi, fuck me.
It's the first one I can remember. It's the first one I can remember having the 12A rating.
Is there an episode that we've done that we haven't mentioned Sam Raimi? Like, seriously, like, we just seen...
Not in a long time.
Sam Raimi at some point. Let's not talk about Sam Raimi again. Go back and watch our Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2 episodes and our Darkman episodes on YouTube.
Of course.
Like, share, subscribe, hit that button.
See if Sam Raimi doesn't come on the show.
I know. Well, I think he's maybe a little bit busy making lots and lots of movies now. So, his production companies...
Yeah,
making lots and lots of movies. And also, the director of Host, Rob Savage, just announced yesterday that he has finished his first movie with Blumhouse.
It's a wrap.
He's been filming. It's a wrap.
You could say it's a Christmas wrap.
It's a Christmas
wrap. He's wrapped it up.
I know, but he's working on a film with Sam Raimi as well that won't be out until next year. I don't think they've started filming it, but I just wanted to drop that little bit of information.
Go check out our Host episode. Hear more about.
Go check out our Host episode.
Rob and Jed's adventures with Blumhouse
and Emma, the very lovely Emma Louise Webb. So, anyways, Gremlins.
Back to Gremlins.
I forgot we were talking about Gremlins, so let's talk about Gremlins. So the original script that Chris Columbus wrote on spec was was even more violent than the finished cut. They had to cut loads of scenes out. Apparently, the dog was going to get eaten by the Gremlins, Barney, which I'm so glad, because we know everyone knows we hate dog deaths and animal cruelty. But also, the mother was supposed to get beheaded.
What?
Yeah, there was a scene. I didn't read about the scene, but she loses her head, and at one point the head was supposed to bounce down the stairs, boom, 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 like a slinky. Everyone loves a slinky. Just her head. And then they had to obviously cut that. Spielberg was like, nah, look.
Because even her fight scene with the tree is quite, not graphic, but it's sort of one of those moments where you're like, oh fuck, these things are actually going to try and kill her right now.
It's spoopy because you see the red eyes, of the gremlin in the tree, and then it falls down, and then the tree basically tries to have it off with her. Like, she's lying like this.
Why is it
The
with horror
trees,
movies and trees? Evil, dirty trees.
That's Sam Raimi again. He just brought that into the pop culture. Now everyone's trying to do it.
Now everyone wants dirty trees.
I know. So it was an original script. However, the word Gremlins was, obviously quite popular as like an urban myth, because the whole thing was that gremlins infiltrated machinery and specifically aircraft in the RAF and stuff.
WWII.
WWII. Which, yeah, so they talk about it briefly in Gremlins when Dick Miller's character, Mr. Futterman, who is an insane racist old man.
Yeah,
but very, very charming and funny.
Very charming, and in all of Dante's movies,
and he's always
which I love.
Right. Yeah, a Dante favorite. But he talks about the gremlins being in the machinery, and this was an urban myth that actually existed.
Yep.
And also Roald Dahl, one of his first books, I think it was his first book in 1943, I think, was called The Gremlins, and it was published by Walt Disney Company, and was supposed to be an animated short. So he wrote the book, and it was all about gremlins that infiltrated the RAF aircrafts.
Which is because he was a pilot in the RAF.
There
was. You go. I did not know that he wrote a story about gremlins. There
education.
We go.
This is more than just entertainment. We're educating people here. I'm pretty sure everyone knew that anyway. And also he was a wee bit racist too. So
aren't they all?
Aren't they all?
From a certain age, they just.
I know.
Yeah, there's some of the stuff.
But it was back in the time. It was okay to say stuff back back in those days. It's fine. It was just the way people spoke. It was okay.
It was a culture. It was a cultural thing.
Our culture.
We know all about cultures.
Here, let's not get into that. Fuck's sake. So yeah, he wrote a book. It did get published, but the animated film never happened, and for some reasons, just it didn't work out. So, but I'll have to try and go back and read that, because I love Roald Dahl, and I don't remember reading that when I was a kid or whatever.
Nope, same.
Yeah, so let's talk about the actual movie now. We've kind of talked so much about it that we need to actually talk about.
We're talking about it and everything else around it.
About everything else, I know. So let me just move my notes about. Before we even get into it, like the Gremlins, Gizmo, the cutest thing ever. Even now, as a man in my mid-30s, Gizmo's still I loved Gizmo. Yeah. I love the design of it. I love the voice. I just love everything about it. I love Gizmo to bits.
His wee face and all, because even he's kind of got like a puggish look about him.
He's got the wee tiny nose, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. And he's got
the wide mouth.
Like, he can be like he is ugly, but it's same with like Baby Yoda and all. Like, they are ugly, but they're cute ugly. Pugly.
I don't think ugly's the right word. You're
right. Ugly,
but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's got a wee squishy face, but there's those eyes, man.
It's
and then the ears and
the ears. Yeah.
I think it's more his mannerisms throughout the movie.
I love his wee mannerisms and the wee faces, because all the different puppet faces they have for him. When he's like smiling, his wee cheeky. When I think it's at the start when what do you call the wee boy that accidentally drops the water on him first. He says something. Corey Feldman says about him being cute.
Pete, his name is Pete.
Pete. Yeah, when he says, "Oh, isn't he cute?" And Gizmo rolls his eyes at him, and that's I love that. I think the wee mannerisms and stuff.
He's kind of like a mixture between a baby and a dog, a puppy, because they imitate. Those babies and puppies imitate what you do, and you have to be very careful. And a lot of times in this, whenever I'm just getting a wild sun in here.
You're a bright boy.
I'm a bright boy.
You're as bright as the star over in Nazareth.
Oh, here we go. Star. Guiding light in these dark times. But yeah, so he imitates everything, and every time Billy, Pete, or whoever's saying stuff, he repeats it back, and it's
but there's other wee things I love. There's wee moments in it where he just comes out with stuff that hasn't been said by any other character, or you're kind of like, well, how does he know that? that I had never noticed until I watched it again last night,
Mhm.
when they're walking behind the cinema screen while the Gremlins are watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they're going down into the cellar to put the gas on. And it's the scene where in Snow White where the animals are helping her clean up the house, and you can
Yeah.
see the deer. And if you listen, you hear Gizmo go, Bamble.
Really?
And I have never, it's the first time I ever picked up on it. And you hear
Cool.
him say Bambi. And I was like, how would
How does he
Gizmo
know?
know what Bambi is? You know, so there's obviously the wee things, and then even just other wee things, like at the end when they're leaving, and he's saying goodbye to the dog. He goes, bye bye, woof woof,
Yeah.
and stuff like that there, and it just tickles me as like the wee things he comes out with.
I know. Well, the thing is, like, we don't know anything about
No.
Gizmo's past, the Mogwai. We don't know how old he is. We don't know. Maybe he is an ancient creature, like Grogu. We don't know where he's came from, really, and hopefully, there's a new series. It's called Secrets of the Mogwai. It's an animated. I think it's actually a prequel or a sequel to Gremlins, but hopefully that'll explain a little bit about the Mogwais, and we'll see more Gremlins and more Gizmo type creatures.
I hope we get more, like, the way Gremlins 2 just goes off on an absolute tangent of different types of Gremlins. I love that. I love that.
They tease it a little bit in this one when we'll speak about it later. The bar scene, there's different personalities and all, but in Gremlins 2, they really go overboard.
He goes hog wild, but I think as Joe Dante was allowed a bit more freedom with the second one, and he went for it. Like,
they were just like, just make this as absurd and humor filled as possible, while keeping certain aspects of the original in there.
Yeah.
But the second one's great. It's not. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but a lot of people do still love the second one. I love it, but it's not as good as the first one for me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't really hold a candle. It doesn't have the same festive charm.
Yeah, exactly.
That the first one has.
But great cast in Gremlins. Zach Galligan as Billy Pulitzer, and then obviously we talked about Corey Feldman as Pete. He's only in a couple of scenes. Judge Reinhold's in it too, as the Gerald, the bank manager, or not the bank manager, the heir to the throne of the bank, I suppose. He's a real dick in this, but apparently his role was cut a little bit as well. He was supposed to be in it a little bit more, and he didn't have as many scenes in the actual finished cut. And then obviously Dick Miller as Murray Feldman. Murray Feldman? Fuck's sake. It's too early. Murray Futterman, the racist old man, who's also a drunk. Damn foreign cars. So, and brilliant. Also, we haven't even mentioned the score yet by Jerry Goldsmith, who is up there with John Williams and Morricone and all the greats. Like, he's proper cinematic elite composer. He did Alien, he did The Omen, but he's worked in other Dante films. He did like The Burbs and Matinee.
I love The Burbs, and I love
Looney Tunes as well. He did Looney Tunes, so he's done a few. He's worked with Dante before. Fantastic composer for films. This, the music in this is iconic. The main theme is just one of the best, and just all the little bits in between, all the little melodies in between are amazing. Big up Jerry Goldsmith.
I love the needle drops in this movie. I used to be absolutely terrified of the first scene where we get to really see the Gremlins in the kitchen, and the "Do you see what I see?" that comes on, and see when that happened, I was like, that so unsettling. But it's great, and then obviously opening with the snow's coming down at the start, really setting you in that Christmas spirit mood, and there's some fantastic just tracks throughout this film as well. But the soundtrack is
I love that. I love that song, because I remember for years, like, anytime I heard that song on anything, it was just like, oh, that's from Gremlins. But I didn't realize that it was a song before it was in Gremlins, and I still call it, it's that, song from Gremlins.
It's the Gremlins song. Well, it's just because you associate it so much with that scene. It works so well with how it sets up for that spooky, and she's walking through and stops it, and then you see the wee shadow of the gremlin scuttling
I
away,
know.
and then the one eating gingerbread, the gingerbread man in the kitchen, and amazing.
So basic plot: the dad is an inventor who is away at a conference, and he wants to bring back a Christmas gift for his son. What age is Billy? Because they make him seem like he's like a teenager. Obviously, he's not a teenager. He's older than that, but he's a very sort of geeky boy, and we know he's a geeky, nerdy type because he draws comic books and all that sort of stuff. And
yeah, he must be in his early 20s, I think, because there's the scene at the start where they're in the bar, and Reinhold's character says, "I'm 23." And I'm already like near enough the manager. By the time I'm 26, I'll be a millionaire. So I assume those two are kind of around the same age.
Well, I think he's maybe a wee bit younger, but he's definitely around. I always kind of thought around 20.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was kind of
He's
interesting.
in a bar.
He's in a bar, so he must be
21. 21 in America. So.
Yeah. And he's hitting on Phoebe Cates' character. Kate, who she was massive back in the 80s. She was like one of those like kind of, she'd been in a few high school type films, and Judge Reinhold's quite good in it as well, although he's not in it as much as he was supposed to be in the original. But just a couple of scenes that he's in, he's very good. He's a dick. He's such a dick.
Such a dick.
He's such an
It's the bit. Was it the bit where Billy's dog jumps out from behind the counter, and they come out to shout at him, but Barney jumps out from under the counter, and they come to shout at him, and he's like, "This is a bank, not a pet store." And then the other manager's like, "Good one," whoever his name is.
Good one, Gerald. He's like, "Thank you." So he's a complete arselick. Yeah. He's just doing everything he can to try to get in that position where he can be successful and become a millionaire. Exactly. He's a bit of a yuppie, I suppose, as well. You know, he's trying to be that kind of yuppie. But so the dad buys a mogwai from the little shop in Chinatown. The kid's like, "Oh, he's a crazy old man." Anyway, so he sells Gizmo to Randall, who takes it back, and he tells him the rules as well. The very important rules is you can't get him wet, you can't feed him after midnight.
I love that. I love that it's not like still on them. It's like a voiceover as Randall walks off into, to go home. But it's just that real ominous kind of voiceover over the scene. And I think it's brilliant. It drums it home for the audience. I think that these are the rules and you should stick to them. But obviously, we know they're going to be broken. Otherwise, what would the point of the movie be?
Film? But so there's a narration at the start. Of course, there is whenever you first see Randall walking through the streets of Chinatown. I just love that whole set. It's cool as fuck. And he's saying, "Oh, this is a story you'll never forget. I've got a story for you," and it sets up the whole thing that it's kind of like a fairy tale. This is a fairy tale story, and they tie it up really nicely in the end whenever he finishes the narration as the old man's walking away. But it hits home the three rules is that sunlight is deadly to these creatures, or any sort of light stroke reflection, but sunlight is deadly, and then you can't get them wet and you can't feed them after midnight. And we don't know why, but we'll find out very soon. So that iconic scene whenever Gizmo's first revealed, you haven't seen him up to this point, and they open the box and you just see him just like popping out, and like, man, that broke my heart when I was a child.
So good. So good.
Even to this day, gets me a wee bit weepy just because it's such an important scene for me, and Gizmo's such an important character. And then they start cuddling him, and you start finding a little bit more about, or he's trying to ask questions about him, and he doesn't really know anything other than the fact of those three rules, and it's kind of also a hard hitting message as well, is that pets aren't for Christmas. If you're going to buy a pet, a dog, cat, whatever pet you want to go for, it's not just a Christmas gift. You have to know what you're buying. You have to do your research. And this is kind of one of those films that kind of send that message to say, do your research. Especially in these days, whenever it's so easy to buy animals online over Facebook and Gumtree and all that stuff, and then a month or two later, you see them, oh, we're selling this or we're giving this away. You know, it's not fair on the animal.
No.
Thank God dogs don't turn into horrible creatures unless they're called
You can
Cujo.
wash your dog. Well, yeah, exactly.
And they get bit by a fucking Rona rat. Or Rona bat, I should say.
Rona bat. Here, I actually have a tech for this coronavirus with Gremlins.
Here we go, another hot tech.
Another hot tech. So imagine they did a reboot of Gremlins today, but with coronavirus in mind. You know, Gizmo is found in a Chinese knick-knack shop.
Okay.
A Chinese wet market. And then we see when Mogwai gets wet, he starts to spread, disperse, and we end up getting Gremlins spreading from this, what we can assume is a Chinese creature.
Are you saying that Gremlins
is the embodiment of coronavirus?
Could be seen as a metaphor for the Rona?
Could be interpreted that way. It's just, I was watching it last night and was just kind of like, okay. And then the fact that at the end, you know, it's very clear that Gizmo understands Chinese. You know, and as we know, Donald Trump loves it, calling it the China virus, and as racist as he is. But again, you see that kind of racism kind of come through, not like overtly, but some of the stuff that the characters kind of come out with, even Randall. I think there's one point he says something about it being like some Chinese thing. You know, at the start of the film when he's giving it
he's very flippant about the whole.
Sort of exactly. Which again, as you say, it's kind of the time. It's, you know, it probably wasn't. They didn't consider it racist at that time. But it was just watching it, I was kind of like, are Gremlins coronavirus?
Chris Columbus ahead of the time, man. He could see the future.
He knew it. He was the what do you call him? Quasimodo.
Nostradamus.
Exactly. Never Quasimodo. That was Sopranos reference there.
That's another reference to the Hunchback from last week's episode. Quasimodo. Fuck's sake,
I
was
doing a Bobby Beckler reference.
Bobby
Sopranos when he's like Quasimodo.
That's right, yeah. Quasi fucking Modo. Brilliant, man. Yeah, and like, wow, Gizmo. That opening scene is brilliant. Yeah. And then very quickly you find this character called Mrs. Deagle, who
what a bitch.
Even when I rewatched it there, I mean, I've watched Gremlins hundreds of times. This bitch is right up there as just, I want to put my fist through the screen. When she starts talking about, first of all, when she cuts the queue and she just knocks the guy out of the fucking queue.
No, I've seen before that, before she gets in the bank and one of their tenants, so obviously her husband is like a landlord or something, and a woman with the two kids comes up to her and she's like, you know, John's got a new job and I'm doing a bit of sewing on the side. And she's just like, well, what's that to do with me? And she's like, well, we're going to maybe be about, you know, two weeks late. Do you think you could speak to your husband? And she's just like, no. She's like, you need to give us the money. And there was it's when she looks at the kids. This is the bit that really gets me. And I'm like, you're a horrible bitch. When she looks at the kids, she goes, oh, well, you know what to ask for Santa then.
Yeah,
Santa then. And I was like, oh, you're a horrible person.
She reminds me of Cruella de Vil or something, you know, like a real sort of over the top Disney type, and obviously that's what they were going for, you know, just really over the top. But just when she queue jumps, you know, having worked in retail for so long, and you've worked in retail before, you just get those customers, like the older women stroke older men, just think they can go in sometimes and just kind of bump the queue and just demand whatever they want to demand, and they're going to get it, you know. And
I'm not waiting an hour. Waiting an hour.
And then when she starts talking ill about Barney, the Billy's dog, and she's saying, "I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna give him a slow death."
Yeah.
Oh, my blood was boiling.
But then Barney gets his own back, so it's
I know. And she obviously gets her comeuppance later on, which is
fantastic.
It's always funny, you know. It's quite funny whenever the Gremlins start going crazy around the town and they're doing all this mad shit. And they go to her house. They're singing carols and stuff, which is one of the funnier moments and also a very iconic moment. And then she goes up her stair lift and she just fucks off out the window. But like she properly fucks off, and then she falls on her, like she falls right down on her back, and she's dead. But that's pretty brutal, man. Like, you don't. I know we're all laughing about it because she's such a horrible bitch, but back in the day, you know, if you were, I remember being a child watching it thinking, "Holy fuck, that's a horrible way to go."
Yep.
But she deserved it.
Being launched out the window straight out onto the ice. She did.
And I forgot. We actually forgot to say when we were talking about the cast, the voice of Gizmo was Howie Mandel, who is. I recognised the name a few years ago, but I didn't realise that who he was. Howie Mandel was a comedian in the late 70s throughout the 80s, but he went on to become one of the judges of America's Got Talent. You know, the bald guy?
Yeah.
That's Howie Mandel.
That's Gizmo. No
That's Gizmo's
way.
Voice, yeah.
What? Okay.
No, and he's done other shows as well. I think he's a presenter of different shows now, but I didn't realise that was the same guy.
No, that's mad.
Until recently. I know, it's crazy. But, oh yeah, all his little voices are so cute, man.
I love Gizmo, and I love the way he gets on, and it's just as wee manners. It's towards the end when he kind of gets to go off on his own in his wee Barbie car and all.
I know.
I love that.
Some of my favourite scenes from Gizmo is initially whenever he's first bonding with Billy, and you know they're playing the little keyboard.
Yep.
And he's
doing his wee song.
His wee song, and then he repeats it back, and so cute. And then when Pete comes over, Corey Feldman's character, and he, you know, they're watching the 3D glasses, and later on, Gizmo uses the 3D glasses as well when he's reading a comic book. But Corey Feldman, in typical Corey Feldman style, cute little kid, but very annoying. Like he's always annoying in all his movies. He's got that sort of
arrogance,
that real, like just a typical kid.
He's still fantastic though as a child actor. I think as an adult, he's a bit commercial. Yeah, I know. You know, it's
he went through
a lot
of shit, and
but the way he's getting on about it, I'm just like,
But
his roles, I mean, you know, Goonies, Gremlins, Stand By Me. Fantastic. Fantastic films.
He's fantastic. Stand By Me especially, he's brilliant as mouth in that, and he's the one that fucking spills the water.
Yeah.
And that's when Gizmo multiplies, and you get like five first
other you get the initial 5, but you get Stripe out of that. He's the first one to pop out. Yeah.
And he's obviously the villain because he's got a stripe, and
he's on your t-shirt.
He's in on me. Yeah, he is.
Stripes on your t-shirt, yeah.
It is, big stripe.
He's the distinguished one because he's the only one that actually keeps hair when they go gremlin.
Look at this distinguished gentleman.
Distinguished gentleman with this little mohawk.
Look at the way he's sitting. He's the villain. He's the leader of this new group. And originally, in the original script, it was supposed to be Gizmo was supposed to transform into Stripe. But then I think Spielberg said, no, we still need to have the original Gizmo throughout it as the hero, as the good guy, to show that these Mogwais aren't all evil.
We need to sell toys.
Also, yeah, that had nothing to do with it. That had nothing to do with the decision. But yeah, I'm glad they kept Gizmo, obviously, because they got a sequel and toys and all that cool shit. But so they multiply, and then obviously they do that sneaky thing where they eat the sandwich.
I love
it. He takes one of them to the biology teacher, and he puts him in a cage and he takes his blood and all that sort of stuff. And then the wee man steals the fucking sandwich.
Steals the sandwich that he's left sitting on the side. But it's the ones that are the 5 that are still with Billy. The fact that they've deceived him by ripping the wires out of the alarm clock.
Aye.
That he thinks it's before midnight, which you don't realise until that moment later when Billy's like, what's going on here? See when he says that to his mother, you're kind of like, come on.
I know.
Put two and two together, mate.
Exactly. Get there quicker, mate. Fuck's sake. No wonder you're just a teller in a bank and you're not going any further in life. Fuck's sake.
But that moment could have been very different if Gizmo had given in to the chicken. Gizmo could have turned at that moment.
He could have.
Because that's, remember, Billy goes, oh, do you want
right,
to
I didn't think of that, you're right.
And Gizmo's just like...
Because Gizmo knows. He kind of knows it. He
doesn't like it. He doesn't trust them.
He knows straight away that they're not like him. They've got some sort of bad tendencies. And I love how whenever they're all like, oh, food, and then they give him food and then he turns away and they're all like, shh, because they're all like planning, you know, what they're gonna do whenever they turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that straight away. They have personalities and fucking.
It's when they first sort of turn and Billy's showing them to his dad, and Randall's just like, oh, this could be the next big pet, and he's planning to monetize on it and stuff.
I know.
But it's when the wee gremlins are all like playing around the tree, and one of them are playing like on a mini arcade thing, and another one's just like freaking out. And I was just like, this is like kids hopped up on sugar, like just absolutely losing their minds. And it's the one with I know we get it in the second one, they kind of go like over the top with the googly-eyed one, but you get that kind of googly-eyed one that's wee eyes are like spinning in its head.
I know he's a bit googly-eyed. That's a good way to describe it. But you're right. It's kind of a metaphor for kids at Christmas as well. They're really little shites.
Yeah.
So, and then the first bad thing you get, I suppose, is whenever they tie Barney up outside, and then Billy thinks it's Mrs. Deagle, and that kind of sets up the red herring thing, and then eventually they eat the food and they turn into like the big cocoon stuff, you know, that's fucking, which is still really
they're gross looking.
They're really gross. Even now they still look fucking amazing. The big, just the sort of ooze that's coming out, and then the mist of smoke.
They're like smoky and slimy, misty. But it's when you're looking at them sort of close, if you pause it and when they're doing like a close up of it, and you can see there's almost like a wee spinal column to it, and there's almost like scaly shapes and stuff off it. The detail in it is insane. Yeah, for something that gets like 5 minutes screen time.
It's like it's a cocoon, but it's also a bit like an embryo. So
yeah,
they're being born again, I suppose, as these horrible, slimy green creatures. And the design of the Gremlins, one of my favorite creature designs ever, by I think the guy was Chris Wallace was his name, and I know Rick Becker was involved, and there was other people involved too. But just that design is fantastic. One of my favorite creature designs of all time, still to this day. Love it the bits.
The wee three clawed hands.
I know,
and they're so iconic because was it the first time you see it in the school laboratory when he's like reaching up to grab the apple, and that wee hand just hooks onto it. And
I think was that not on the post some posters and some.
I think there was because there's the Gizmo poster, which is him looking out the box, and then I think there's another one where the Gremlins like ripped it, the like claws coming through the poster. So there's like the cute poster and then the Gremlin poster.
Yeah, you're right. It's very iconic, the claws. And then all hell breaks loose once they actually open up, once the cocoons pop. The music changes, the sense of dread is brought in. The film does change its tone slightly. I know we still get humorous moments later, but from that point on, you're like, oh, what's going to happen? So they pop and they start attacking. Obviously,
once you pop, you don't stop.
Once you pop, you don't stop. There's 4 of them then in the house because there's still one in the lab. So the 4 that's left attack Billy's mum in the kitchen, which
is there not 5 in the house? Because the scientist, the biology teacher, he puts water on the one that Billy brings, and then he's like, "I'll keep this one for research," and then Billy takes the other one away. So is there still not the 5?
So there were 6 in total that popped out?
There's 6 in total. There's the one with the biology teacher, and then there's the other 5 bag of Billies, the original 5.
Right. So
or bag of Billies.
So he clones them. He multiplies them again. You're right. Of course he does.
He does a little pipette of water.
Which again sort of explores that the more water you add to them, the more there will be. So which we see later on, of course. So then they start attacking the Ma, who's brilliant in this. Like, she's class. So Frances Lee McCain, very iconic. But she kind of just, as soon as it happens, she's like, "Fuck this! No one's attacking my kitchen."
Full battle mode, like
out of my kitchen. I know.
Using all every appliance she can to take on the Gremlins.
It's brilliant because they set the appliances up a little bit. You have the blender thing at the start, and obviously that's the first kill, the Gremlin first kill.
All the chunks. It's all those wee slimy green chunks flying all over the place.
It's kind of brutal, and then you have the microwave one, which is fucking brutal too.
Yep.
And then she stabs. Didn't she just stab one?
She stabs. She goes absolute buckman, just stabs one. I love. There's fantastic. The final one that gets killed in this scene is the one in the tree, and that's Billy takes that one out. but I love the setup to that. The kind of the foreshadowing for that one is that the sword used it keeps falling off the wall. At the start of the film, Billy comes in, it falls off the wall. Randall comes in, it falls off the wall. But then the one time Billy actually needs it, it doesn't fall off the wall, so he pulls it off the wall then. And I thought it's a really subtle thing, and there was probably no need to do it, but I think it's great that it is a detail in the film.
Yeah, they set it up a little bit at the start, and whenever it happens, you go, "Oh, the sword," rather than saying, "Oh, who's got a sword on their wall?"
Yeah,
they show it twice earlier in the movie.
Yeah, and there's another detail, and I only picked up on it last night as well, was when the gremlins are going to, or the little mogwais, the bad mogwais, are going to eat the food. So you see Billy's clock. Obviously, it says it's only like 20 past 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you cut to the biology teacher finishing up, he's like, "I'm going to wrap it up for the night, buddy." But you can see in the background his classroom clock, and it's like 2:15 in the morning. But the way the lighting is, it's very illuminated, so you see the time difference.
Yeah.
But you can assume that what's going on with Billy is happening around a similar time, and the fact that it makes a very distinct purpose of being like, look at the time. Yeah. I love that. And again, probably no need, because of the scene later on when Billy's like, "What's going on here?"
I know.
But just those little details. Oh,
I know. I love it, man. I love it. And then, so the one in the cage, you get that cool scene where it's like it's the cocoon in the cage, and they're clipping it and stuff, and then obviously it becomes loose and kills the biology teacher. And I love just how he's sneaking around, and you see like the wee fleeting images of the gremlin running about, and in the background they're showing like a biology dissection of something.
It's about hearts. It shows like a rabbit, and the wee heart is like So you get that sound of the heartbeat going on in the background too, which makes it more intense. It's the way the biology teacher dies is a bit brutal too. He's got the needle stuck in his neck.
I know. No, it's in his arse.
I was going to say it was his neck or his arse, but yeah,
he gets his hand, because he's given him a bit of chocolate, and then obviously the gremlin's grabbing his hand or eating his hand off or whatever, and then whenever you discover him later, he's got the needle up his hole. Well, in his cheek, not actually up his hole, but
no, actually, that could have been very.
That would have been that would have been weird.
An enema.
And then so they find out obviously these gremlins have gone mad, and they're going crazy around the town, the small town, and Billy goes to. Is this at the point where Billy goes to the police, and
Billy goes to the police with Gizmo, and he's trying to explain it, but as that's happening, we're kind of getting like a little montage of what the gremlins are up to, because we kind of missed the point where 4 of the 5 original mogwais, bad mogwais, die in the kitchen. Yeah, and then that scene where Billy decapitates the one that's attacking the mum in the Christmas tree, and he lobs off the head, and the head flies into the fireplace, but the head's still like screaming as it like melts in the fire. That's grim too. Some of the
I thought that was a wee bit of a throwback to Raiders of the Lost Ark. When they
melty face,
and there's a wee bit. There's another wee bit of a throwback to Indiana Jones earlier. Whenever the
poster
starts,
was it Rockin' Ricky Rialto?
Rialto, that's his name.
Yep. The radio DJ who we hear quite a lot actually through the film. Anytime they're in a car, you hear him. But yes, it's the Indiana Jones like font, and he's dressed up as Indiana Jones. Poster. I love that. So there's 4 now dead. There's Stripe and another one still on the loose. Stripe runs out the house and heads for the local pool.
Because he's obviously the smart one. He knows I need to get water. I need to multiply. They try to go after Stripe, and he gets to the swimming pool before they can get to him, and you get that awesome scene where it's all bubbly and green and the mist and everything. And he multiplies himself in the swimming pool, and then that's when Billy goes to the police and starts saying, "Look, this is going to be big trouble."
We get the scene, the stop motion scene of them all, the horde of them coming down the street. Love that.
It's just Stripe coming out of the darkness first, and then he stops and he looks behind, and they all just come out.
All of them, and just that stop motion-y like shuffling.
And the noise. I love it, man.
So good.
The horde of gremlins, amazing. They start causing chaos straight away, and this is where a lot of the comedy comes into it, because you know, at the end of the day, they're horrible creatures, but they're also like weird, delinquent children, and they're
Yeah.
like, you know, it's they hijack Mr. Futterman's snowplow, and they
Plow
take
it
it
straight into the
I know,
house.
and then they're messing around with like the traffic lights and
It's the
what else
bit
are they
where
doing?
a priest walks up and he posts the mail in the letterbox, and the mail keeps getting thrown back out at him. And then another
Oh,
fella comes up,
aye.
and the priest kind of steps back, and the fella's like, "Hi, Father, just send some mail." And he's like, "Oh, go for it."
Aye.
And the fella sticks his whole arm in with the parcel or whatever he's got,
Yes,
and then it starts to get pulled into it, and the priest is just like, "Ah!" I was like, "You're a bastard! Why
I
didn't you
know.
tell that man that there was an issue with the post
Fucking
box
priest,
instead
man.
of watching him like do it?"
It's
So there's that
Chris.
there, and then there's, as you said, the traffic lights.
Mrs. Deagle's stair lift, which is probably the
Mr. Deal,
best one.
that's a bit. It's the lead into that because she's just come down the stair lift and she's talking about her cats and stuff, and then she can hear carolers, and she's like, "Bloody carolers!" and gets a jug of water.
I know.
And she's going to throw it over them, but when she opens the door, you see all the wee gremlins with the wee Christmas hats on, the wee books and all, but they're just going la la la. They're just doing the gremlins tune. And then she screams and drops the jug and runs back inside. But as obviously she's standing at the front door, one of the gremlins have snuck in and started messing with her stair lift. And then she goes to go upstairs and ends up getting launched out the back window.
I know. Which is brilliant. And she just smacks with a real hard thud right in front of the police car as well.
Yes.
And then the police start realizing what is going on here. And also, big shout out to Mike Ermintrump from Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Who is in this movie, and you know, he's great in it. He's a small part, but he's great. What else? There's obviously the scene in the bar, which is
the bar scene, because it comes pretty much after that. Then and that's when we get all the different personalities. We've got like the flasher. We've got one's done up in drag. And,
you get the flash dance.
Flash dance, so good with the
Willy
socks, the wee high socks,
and it turns the camera flips up and all,
and he does the wee like spin on the floor and all.
We spin a Rooney, and then you have the one that's like Humphrey Bogart, where he's like smoking a cigarette and it's dark.
It's the one with the 3 cigarettes like leaning on the bar.
Easily the best one is the Ra Gremlin. The one
when she goes to run away,
she's just about to run away. She's just about to run away. She's discovered that they're taking pictures of them because they hate flashlights.
Yes,
they hate any sort of reflection or lights.
She's got a wee Polaroid with
she
the
starts
flash
taking
bulbs.
she starts taking Polaroids, and they're like, ah. So she's about to run out, and then the wee Ra Gremlin comes out with a gun, and he's got his wee fucking
just the wee eyes, the wee red eyes with the wee teeth through the mask. Amazing, wee Ra Gremlin. I feel like we need to buy Gremlins now, like little Ra Gremlins.
And you can I think you can actually buy all those different Gremlins.
The Ra Gremlin.
I know you can buy all those Gremlins as little figures and Mega or pop figures or whatever.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I've definitely seen them. And then they run out, and that's when you see all the mad shit happening around the town. And there's things happening up in the window where you just see like somebody getting attacked by a gremlin, and they're running around going mad. And it's kind of like, it's like a scene from if you're at a theme park or something, and it feels like a theme park experience where you're walking through, you're about to go on a ride, and this is the setup experience, and you're seeing all these little things happen. It's brilliant. It's really, really well done. And then they go away because they have to try and
they go hide in the bank. They go hide in the bank first, and then we get the darkest moment in the whole film is when Kat is telling the story about her dad,
right?
Which is a scene I kept forgetting about when I was younger, and it's only as I kind of became an adult that I realized how fucked up.
You sort of wonder why did they have this in it, and I was thinking about this last night. She says that her
she foreshadows it. Yeah, she foreshadows it, and then we get this later on. But
earlier on in the movie, she says that she doesn't believe in Christmas. And Billy sort of makes a joke, kind of saying, "Oh, why? Like everyone loves Christmas. Why do you not?" And she's like, "Oh, why should everyone love Christmas?
So many people commit
suicidal, and they have depression, and it is a really hard hitting time. And that is true. That is true. It's a very hard time for a lot of people. And I kind of think that that's another theme that's coming out of this film is that." Yes, it's a Christmas movie, but it's also an anti-Christmas movie in the sense that it's trying to say that Christmas is a tough time. There's a lot of bad shit happens at Christmas, and she foreshadows it earlier in that conversation, and then she really hits it home when she says that her, her father, what happened to her dad down the chimney and all that stuff. And it's kind of weird that they've kept it in, but apparently it was something that Joe Dante really wanted in the script. I don't know if Spielberg was a big fan of it, but he trusted his friend.
Yeah,
and
but it
stayed in the film, and it does hit home. It does hit home.
It does, but it is one of those moments. It kind of it takes you out of what's going on at that time to kind of remind you that there is actual real fucked up shit that can happen in the world. Because even it's when they say, it'd been 2 days or something, and then they light the fire and the smell. And as soon as she goes to the smell, you're like, oh fuck no.
I know.
Oh,
and she's brilliant because she really sells the story. She's really good in that scene.
Yep.
But we quickly jump to the theater because
we get a nice. As soon as we get that moment, we get this fantastic moment.
The Gremlins have all gathered in the theater because it's dark and there's no sort of light that they can
be
harmed by. There's loads of sweets. They're all going mad for the candy, and this is just one of the greatest scenes in film ever. Whenever they go to watch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and the hi-ho part comes on, and they're all like, hi-ho, hi-ho.
As the other wee heads are going and all. Some of them have like popcorn bucket helmets and popcorn's flying everywhere. And
brilliant.
So
brilliant.
So
and obviously, then Billy and Kate, they turn the burner on, don't they? And then they blow up.
Yeah, so they sneak in the back. We get that lovely moment where Gizmo says Bambi. And he goes down into like the cellar, turns on the gas, and then lights a bit of paper and throws it down. But they see the camera reel starts to jitter off, and the Gremlins see their silhouettes behind the screen. So then the Gremlins all run at the screen, and I love that because you kind of get the initial silhouette looks almost kind of cartoony with all the Gremlins running, and then you get the wee claws cutting through the screen and them all bursting through. But they manage to get out of the theater, lock the door. And obviously then it explodes, the gas gets lit up and they all perish, but Spike's already escaped because he wants more candy. They've eaten all the candy in cinema, but he sees a candy sign across the way in the department store. I
know. So Stripe escapes. I was just thinking that's probably where Quentin Tarantino got his idea to kill all the Nazis in Inglourious Basterds.
Nazis or Gremlins? Gremlins or Nazis? Well, another hot take.
Man, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm pretty sure that's probably where he got his idea.
Possibly.
Get all the Nazis in the movie theater and then blow it up. So they blow up the theater. Stripe has escaped. He goes to the department store. It's just a brilliant climax of the film, and we get that little cool thing where Billy's going around and Stripe's hiding, and then you see E.T.
Yes, he comes through the E.T. teddy. Because you get Warner Brothers, obviously, who distributed the film. So you have the Looney Tunes teddies, and then you get that wee E.T. teddy stuck between, I think it's Bugs and Sylvester. And and then he just peeps through from behind E.T.
Yeah, nice little nod to Spielberg and E.T. But just that whole end to the film is brilliant. I love that he goes at him with the fucking chainsaw.
Yeah.
And you're in different parts of the store, and he's just grabbing things that's lying around and trying to survive.
The blades, the like ripsaw blades that he like chucks at him and all goes into the wall, and amazing. And then
he starts throwing, and then obviously Stripe is, he's looking to multiply again, and he goes to that water fountain in the garden part, which is iconic imagery. That's just such a cool image of the sort of greens and purples, the way it's lit up. It's just gorgeous.
The lighting in that scene is amazing.
You think, right, he's jumped in and he starts bubbling, and you think, oh, here we go again.
Sure, he's got that. He puts his finger in the top of it, and his back's all postulating, and you're getting the smoke again. And then
amazing. It's amazing.
Gizmo with the Barbie car just like comes flying up a wee ramp and straight in, and he like smacks into the wall, and you're like, oh no.
What's he done? He hasn't done anything here. Why he's he hasn't saved the day, but he actually has saved the day. So earlier on,
the wee ring pull.
Earlier on in the movie, earlier on in the film, he's watching a movie on TV, and it shows you the guy in the racing car. Now I can't remember the name of the movie. There is an article on our website where I reference it about how television, horror movies and films in general are obsessed with television. But I can't remember the name of the movie. But it's a guy who's racing in like a wee small racing car, and so, like we mentioned earlier on in this video, Gizmo he's like a sponge. He just takes everything in, everything that he sees, he tries to imitate. So at this point in the department store, he's jumped in the wee car and
Wee Barbie car.
He's going, and they get the close up of the eyes and all, and then he runs over Barney's toe.
That bit,
It's a great,
it's so funny.
brilliant.
It's
so good.
The way Barney reacts, well, because obviously the dog wasn't expecting. I don't think that
No.
was, it's just a genuine canine reaction.
I know.
And wonderful.
And you think, okay, he's going to save the day somehow. He falls. How is he going to save the day? But Stripe's got the gun, doesn't he? And then he shoots the hole. He goes to shoot him, and then Gizmo jumps out of the way, but he grabs the blind, and the blind goes up, and the sunlight comes in, and that's it. Stripe gets hit with the sunlight, and he's done. And that ending is gruesome.
The melting,
really, really gruesome. The way
proper Wizard of Ozzy, I'm melting.
I know. The way he melts, it's so fucking cool.
I love that.
He falls in, and so he melts, and it's just a skeleton. He falls in. You see everything melting off his skin, and he falls into the water fountain again. He splashes, and then you get that last scare, as you do with every horror movie. So Billy approaches, and he just gets that last scare with the skeleton jumps out, and then eventually just sort of the bones just kind of melt away, and it's brilliant. It was a brilliant way to end the film. Really gruesome, but just such a satisfying end to see Stripe get his comeuppance.
So
that's it. That's Gremlins.
Gremlins.
The greatest Christmas movie ever made.
The greatest
on par
Christmas
with
movie ever made.
The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And Home Alone. Shout out to Home Alone as well. Which again, Chris Columbus connection. With Home Alone. He obviously directed Home Alone as well. But
and Love Actually would probably be one of my favourite Christmas
Do you know
movies.
what? In recent years, I've kind of grown a fondness for Love Actually. Janine loves it, and she makes me watch it every year, and I do have appreciation for it. I wouldn't say it's up there with my favourites, but I do have appreciation for it. That's another horror movie that we'll talk about at some point.
The horrors of reality.
And the horrors of fucking relationships, and relationships gone bad and everything. But anyway, the end of the Gremlins is, they realise they can't keep Gizmo. The old man appears from nowhere, really. He just sort of creeps in. Sort of appears in their house, doesn't he? She turns around, he's there. And he kind of explains that you shouldn't have taken this pet away from me. I told you about the rules. And there's another little sort of theme that they kind of touch on here, which I kind of think is very important to talk about. And it's the theme of like how society always destroys what it's given. Society always destroys nature's gifts. And the old man says that whenever he's taking Gizmo back, because they didn't follow the rules. They didn't, I know it was accidental that the rules were broken, but they weren't paying enough attention, and all hell broke loose. And it's a kind of a message that you have to follow the rules, and you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Which again is very poignant for today's society. But human beings, man.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible people, aren't they? Human beings can be real arseholes at times.
Ignorant. Awful ignorant.
Fucking ignorant.
If you'd stop just spreading your gremlins around,
I know,
we wouldn't have all these lockdowns.
Exactly. And then the old man
bringing it back.
I know. The old man pisses off, and you get that wee emotional thing where Gizmo's like, bye bye.
Yeah.
And it is quite sad, and you get that lovely scene at the very end where it's the old man walking up the road.
Walking off into the
road. Beautiful matte painting, isn't it? It's like a matte painting.
There's the bit though just before that when they're like driving home. They're driving back to the house, and you hear on the radio about actually it's even before that as well. We get when they're going in the department store, we hear Rockin' Reality Radio, and he's saying the military's coming in with the hoses. We're going to turn the hoses on them, which immediately you're like, oh fuck, like that's a bad thing to happen. But then later we get the radio again just before the end, and he says, oh, it turns out that it was all just a town-wide mass hysteria. And you're just like, Look how they've reasoned this.
I know.
You know, all the destruction in the town.
Danny, it's fake news. That's what it is.
Fake news. Gremlins are fake news.
Fake news. Yeah, they just sort of cast it off as though it's mass hysteria. I mean, the town is obviously a very small town.
Yep.
That mustn't be connected to any other towns, so they've kind of just
Yep.
decided, like, we'll just...
It goes in with the whole notion of the Gremlins thing again. You know, Gremlins are just a myth. They're, you know, something inside the machine, something inside your products that have come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's not real. It is just a mass myth, you know, and that's, I think that sort of plays into it again with that final radio message.
And there's actually there's a really good video essay that I watched on YouTube months and months ago. I'll post it on the Twitter feed, but it talks about Gremlins and how they are represented as, you know, ghosts in the machines or gremlins in the machines. So I'll post the link, and it's a really interesting video essay. But yeah,
Dante loves doing stuff about mass hysterias and America's reaction to stuff. You know, you look at Matinee, that's obviously Cold War related.
Yeah.
This has elements, I think, of sort of Cold War, xenophobic mass hysteria. Dante loves a good sort of...
he also loves small town America. You know, obviously like the likes of the Burbs and stuff like that. He loves those kind of small, you know, in the Howling, you have that community.
Yes.
The small knitted community. And I think that's where he really excels, those sort of small stories. But there's definitely, if you even dig deeper into Gremlins, there is the xenophobic theme there too. And yeah, Dante is the best, or one of the best anyway.
So good.
But the script was written by Columbus, so that was a fantastic script too. Brilliant film. One of my favourites growing up, still a favourite today.
Yep.
And looking forward to the new animated show, which is hopefully coming next year. Can't wait for that.
If you'd like to hear us talk about Gremlins 2, pop down in the comments. Let us know if you want to hear us talk about all the zany gremlins that come out of Gremlins 2.
Which may turn into just our love for Christopher Lee as well, because he turns up
as well. Yeah, that's great. Oh,
I know.
Oh, Christopher Lee.
I know. That could be a long episode if we end up talking about him.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll leave it there. We've talked about Gremlins for long enough.
And everything else.
I know. We've talked about a lot of other stuff as well. Very, very, very weird episode, but we enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Fright Club NI, and check out the website www.thefrightclubni.com, and just tell all your friends about us. You know, the Jolly Ganchers we were talking about.
Jolly Ganchers.
Jolly
Ganchers.
Yeah, we'll have to trademark that as soon as we can. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hope you had a great Christmas.
Yes.
We definitely didn't record this before Christmas.
No.
Hope you enjoyed your turkey and stuff and all that, and you've probably got loads of leftover turkey, so you'll be making turkey sandwiches for the next week. That's normally what happens in my house. Enjoy your new year as well. Stay safe. Take care. All the best, guys. Merry Christmas.
There's no gremlins in your presents.
Check your presents. Merry Christmas.
Bye, everybody.